Welcome to this week's St. Clair County Board of Commissioners meeting. The types of business that occur at these meetings include public hearings, official voting on actions by the Board of Commissioners, presentations by departments of the county, and recognition of service that makes our county great. As your elected representatives, the St. Clair County Board of Commissioners is committed to improving the lives of all our residents while preparing county government to meet the demands of the future. In order to do that, we need to share our thoughts and plans with you. More importantly, we need you to share your thoughts, concerns, and opinions with us. We encourage you to come and experience the process by attending any of these meetings. They occur every first and third Thursday of the month at 6 p.m. at the St. Clair County Administration Building at 200 Grand River Avenue in Port Huron.
Gentlemen, we ready? We're going to call the St. Clair County Board of Commissioners meeting to order. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Commissioner Samasco. Here. Commissioner Tomian. Here. Commissioner Heidemann.
Here.
Commissioner Riley.
Here.
Commissioner Rushing.
Here.
Commissioner Graytop. Here. Chairman Bohm.
Here. Additions, deletions, and changes to the agenda. Number A. Somebody? Somebody give me a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the agenda with the addition of HB 5184 update.
Okay, we will make that, let's do that as 1A. We'll do that first. And actually what that is, just so you know that is some of the choice folks contacted me after. Do we have anybody here tonight to talk on that at all? We'll have it on the agenda, but I offered up equal billing time for them to make a speech or talk about it regarding the choice power, because Edison, as you well know, was
One quick thing, Jeff.
Yeah.
You may see on your in your packet a 12 when we're into the new business. It's actually 11. I have the corrected one here, so.
I fixed it already.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to do that as a motion to approve agenda.
So moved. Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Minutes, previous meeting, A through C.
Mr. Chair, I would move that the minutes of the February 20th, 2014 Commission meeting and the February 27th, 2014 Special Board of Commissioners meeting and the March 6th, 2014 Standing Committee meeting be approved and filed.
Support.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Proclamations. None before us. Item number 7, the consent agenda.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve items 7A through 7I on the consent agenda.
Support.
Discussion. Favor?
Aye.
Item number 8, reports of standing special committees. Going to start with Commissioner Samasco.
Hold on, Jeff, I'm just correcting my, you had my program here as item 12C, it should be 11C.
Yeah, that's what I just said. That's I got 11s on mine, so we're.
Is that what you're looking for?
Yep.
Okay. Well, you're not, where are you at right now? You're just.
Reports of standing committees,
Oh,
Steve.
no report.
Carl?
I don't have one.
Howard?
I've got one piece of information I thought commissioners may be interested in. We had our Columbus County Park meeting Tuesday night, and Mr. Tim May, who works primarily down there, by the way, he has resigned and will be leaving the Park and Rec Commission, but he presented a report on the sledding hill that I thought was kind of interesting. It was open 52 days this winter, and it averaged about 40 people per day. That would have been almost 2,100 people visiting the sledding hill. And the kids and obviously their parents and all of that.
Okay. Mr. Riley?
Nothing tonight, thanks.
David?
I went to a SUMCOG meeting last Friday with Mr. Graytop. He'll fill you in a little bit more. He's very familiar with it, but it had to do with Phragmites, and Mr. Williams is just doing a fantastic job, and they're looking at controlling the Phragmites. It's approximately 12,000 acres, and 10,000 of the acres within Michigan, or southeastern Michigan here, 10,000 are in St. Clair County. And the majority is actually in his, and then the balance is in my townships.
Bill?
Yeah, before I follow up on that, and I don't want to forget, yesterday, the Day Treatment Night Watch Intervention Academy program graduated 6 students from the program. 4 of them received their high school diplomas, 2 of them got their GEDs. 1 of them came out of the new intensive program, which would be the first graduate out of the new intensive Day Treatment Night Watch program. Of the 6 kids that could graduate, 6 graduated. Of the 6 that did graduate, 6 are going to college, and they are all matriculated students at this particular time. That means enrolled to go on. So that was a pretty nice thing. Administrator Bill Kaufman was there, along with myself. 2 other board members were there. Lots of parents, lots of support for these kids. They were all dressed in caps and gowns. Obviously, we can't show you pictures or tell you names because they're juveniles, but it was a very, very nice program, and glad to see the Day Treatment Night Watch and the Intervention Academy is doing some great stuff. Going back to what Commissioner Rushing was saying, this Phragmites deal is a huge, huge thing. As he mentioned, the majority of it's in Clay Township. There's quite a bit in Ira Township. It's everywhere. Matt, you've got to see it out at your place. I've seen it out there. It's growing everywhere, and it's a pretty invasive species. And a quick follow-up to that is that this Monday at 2 o'clock in Lansing, the Natural Resources Committee that Senator Phil Pavlo is on and chaired by Mike Green, they are going to be meeting in Lexington at 2 o'clock. If anybody is interested in invasive species that enter this country illegally, that's what they're going to be talking about, so we'll be in Lansing for that.
Okay.
Done.
I'm going to take a pass. Going to move on. Citizens wishing to address the board. Arlene Marcetti, 222 Fraser Street, Yale, candidate for the library board. Just you go right up there, Arlene, and you get you on TV and all that good stuff. So.
Thought I was just going to sneak in here to sit. I've been on the library board in Yale for about 20 years. I've coached Battle of the Books. I did story hours. I was a friend of the library. I'm presently the library board president. We did the extreme makeover about 5 years ago, $35,000 project. We've redone the lighting. We've done the carpeting. Done a lot of work. I've spent a lot of time, and I'm really interested in moving up to the county board. Any questions?
We generally don't ask questions from the board to the speaker at this
Okay.
part of the process, but we just wanted to have an opportunity to hear from you.
Okay, very good. Next one, Tom McMullen, 7706 Emily City Road, Kanoke Township Library Board candidate.
Thank you for having me. I'm the newest member of this community. I moved here about 3 years ago from Indianapolis. A lot of the kids, when I substitute teach, tell me I have an accent. I tell them, no, I sound pretty normal. It's you all that have the accents. I was very involved in Indianapolis, juvenile diabetes, autism, Special Olympics. Since I moved up here, I've been here about 3 years now, and I would like to become involved in my new community. Everybody, seemingly everybody knows my wife. She works at, she's a head of travel at AAA, and so everybody knows CJ, but I don't know anyone. So I'm here to serve at your will. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on, unfinished business, any unfinished business? Moving on, item 11AA. Is there anybody here to talk about House Bill 5184 that has to do with choice energy? I extended out an invitation to individuals if they wanted to speak on it. Okay. Seeing none. Going to move on to item number 8. Approval of county disbursements.
Yeah, at this time, I'd like to move to approve the county disbursements for February of 2014 in the amount of $14,287,002.86.
Support?
Discussion? Roll call?
Commissioner Riley,
Yes.
Commissioner Samasco,
Yes.
Commissioner Greatop,
Yes.
Commissioner Tamian,
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing,
Yes.
Commissioner Heidemann,
Yes.
Chairman Bowman.
Yes. Item number B, the Blue Water Area Transit Route discontinuation. I see Jim Wilson here. Jim, you want to come on up and talk about the issue?
Good evening. I'm Jim Wilson from Blue Water Area Transit, and I was hoping to give you just a little bit of background on the JARC program. JARC stands for Job Access and Reverse Commute. It was a federally initiated program where the federal government would fund 50% of the operating cost for new transportation services that were designed to help low-income people get to employment. The entire program was administered through the state of Michigan, and the state of Michigan also put up the other 50% for the selected projects. Blue Water Area Transit was very successful in getting a large chunk of this money, and we used that money to operate a route between Port Huron and the smart bus system at 23 Mile and Gratiot along both I-94, offering more or less express service, and also service along M29, serving all the communities along the waterfront. In addition, we used a large amount of that money to expand mainly our evening service hours. And we've met with great success on our expanded service hours since we started that program. In fiscal year 2008, our ridership has increased 80%. So we were very sorry then to hear that the federal government had elected under the most recent transportation authorization to discontinue funding for the JARC program. And then we were, of course, even further unhappy to hear that the state of Michigan did not intend to find any money to replace those funds, and was looking for the local communities to put in now 50% of the operating costs for these new services that we started at the encouragement of the state. And if we had only gotten our fair share of the funding, we could have probably absorbed the having to pick up 50% of that cost. But since we were so successful, in receiving 40% of the money available statewide for small urban communities, there's just absolutely no way we can come up with the additional local funds to offset that kind of hit. So we've never come before you to ask for money before, and I'm not here tonight to do that either. So we continue to operate and subsidize the transportation for many of the nonprofit agencies in St. Clair County. Last year, distributing over $1 million of operating assistance to, I believe, 11 nonprofit agencies. And we continue to operate our regular service. So we've been holding off on trying to adjust the extended service hours or this regional route in hopes that we could convince the state to come up with some additional funding so that we could continue this program that they, at least in my mind, they encouraged us to start, and now we have people dependent on it. So just to give you a little idea of what the ridership is like on that route, our last fiscal year, we carried a little over 26,000 rides. The average trip length was average one-way trip length, including distance traveled on smart buses continuing in one direction, was 42.5 miles. We estimate 30 people are depending on that route at this time to get to and from work on a weekday basis. And the total cost for the route is approximately $260,000. As I say, until this time, the state paid half of that and the federal government paid half of that. Now we're looking at trying to figure out how to plug 50% of that amount. I did get some news yesterday from MDOT that they are looking once again, to see if they can find some money to help us out with this. And so we've delayed the end of the route from what we were planning initially at the end of March to the end of April, in hopes that some good news will come from this. We would have never started any of this service if we'd had any inclination that we were going to be expected to pick up half of the bill down the road. It's just way beyond what our budget could bear. So, one possibility might be that that the state might come up with a higher percentage rather than 50%, but it would still leave a substantial local commitment requirement. So I just wanted to get you alert to the idea today. If the state were to come up with some additional funding, the Blue Water Transit's priority is to try to preserve the expanded evening service hours because of the substantial ridership associated with that, as opposed to this regional route, which again, the regional route in part services all the communities along M59, M29, excuse me, all the communities along M29, and at this point it would fall on just Port Huron and Fort Gratiot to come up with that 50% without some other kind of relief from some other source. So that's all I wanted to say tonight, is just to let you know what's...
Bill?
Jim, you're running actually two different routes. You're running one that goes down M29, and you have the other route that comes back by way of the expressway, and you're losing half of your money. Can you keep half your money and run one route?
I'd like to add to that question.
Well,
I'd like to add that question because perhaps Bill and I have the same observation. When I was working in Algonac, I noticed that they had this huge bus that was coming down M29 and very, very few people on it. And when I inquired about it, I was told that if I went over to the connection with the smart bus system over on Gratiot in 23 Mile, I'd see that the bus was really full, taking people back to Port Huron. This was in the afternoon. And about a month later, I drove by there and saw that. And so my question is going to be the same thing. Obviously, that part of the system was heavily utilized, but the part that was coming down M29, there was this huge bus with less than a half dozen people on it.
Well, actually,
most of the time.
Between the freeway and the local, what I call the local route along the waterfront, most of the ridership was on the local. And some of the observations, we did a 100% survey just to get a handle on what was really happening with the ridership. And of the 26,000 passengers, over 23,000 of those were either transferring onto a smart bus or transferring off of a smart bus onto our bus. So that in part explains how the average trip length got up to 42.5 miles. But again, from a ridership standpoint, the evening service has been much more productive for us. And the increased ridership we've had because of the expanded evening service has resulted in us receiving some additional federal funding because of our increased ridership that we don't want to jeopardize by cutting into that evening service if we can avoid it. So I'm doing everything I can. I've worked first with MDOT for 3 months while they said they were looking for some funding, and then they referred us to the Department of Human Services, and they in turn asked us to do a pretty thorough passenger survey, which we did. And then they again said that they decided that they weren't going to participate. And then MDOT's next thing was that they were going to pressure DHS further. And now, as of yesterday, they've told me that they're looking at some other sources as well. So I'm hopeful that they will find the money to continue the service that they started. People, whether you agree with the service or not, there are now a number of people who are depending on that service, and it would create quite a hardship for them if we were to cancel that route. So we're hopeful that the state will once again see the wisdom of first paying for the services that they've already started and that people are depending on before investing in new services in other communities. Historically, they've seen the wisdom of that, and we're hoping they do again.
It just appeared to me that the high ridership was up and down I-94, and really not along M29. You said 23,000 were interchanging
Yeah, but
with
you know,
Smart.
along the M29 route, you can be getting people that could be getting on in Port Huron and getting off before they get to Marine City, or be getting on.
Well, there was
in Algonac and getting off at 23.
There was a person that got off
Yeah.
at River District Hospital. There was a person who got off at the River Crab. You know, there was 3 or 4 people. But then when
Roughly 100 rides a day. So we have a local and express in the morning and a local and express in the afternoon, plus 1 extra express run early in the morning. So
well,
you know, the ridership continued to grow, but it's fairly well leveled off. Unfortunately, what the state will pay is 50% of the expenses minus the fare box. So we can't really even get out of this hole by raising the fares, because every extra dollar of fare that we charge will be 50 cents less of state money that we'll get. And then as you raise fares, less people ride, and then you have to raise fares more, and there's really no way out of funding the service as we have, or else stopping it.
there's no alternative to changing the routing and still serving most of the people?
Well, we'd be happy, Carl, to look at anything.
I'm just, this is just my own observation. I don't have any statistics or anything, but the bus used to stop at 5 o'clock in front of my office in Algonac every night. And I followed it. I've talked to some people who rode the bus, and those are the observations there. And then when I went over and saw the connection with Smart Bus, it was very heavily utilized. And so if there's only 3 or 4 people that are using a bus that's going for 40 miles, you know, there could be an alternative if it was just a express back and forth between your terminal here in Port Huron and the Smart terminal at Gratiot and 23 Mile. Maybe you could serve most of your people and cut your expenses substantially. And as I understand Commissioner Graytop's suggestion, if you could modify that and get the same amount of money, maybe you get a lot closer.
Well, yeah, if you cut this, you know, the service and the expenses, then they proportionately cut the funding. So you still have to come up with half the money, no matter, you know, how big of a size you make it. So, but I do hear you, Carl, and you know, the last time I analyzed the ridership, there were more people on the local route than on the express route, at least on an average per trip basis. But you know, if that was different, certainly the express route only takes an hour, whereas the local route takes 2 hours. So, there would be certainly, if there were a significant proportion of the riders were on the express route, it would be a lot cheaper to operate that alone.
And my observation is just for the evening route along M29, this southern movement down M29, then it went west to the smart bus connection, and then it went back north essentially along I-94. But if there's another route during the day, then that my observations wouldn't be complete.
And there's actually a certain point along that M29 route where even if you wanted to go north, it would be faster to go south and then catch the express bus up to Port Huron. So, there's people using it for a whole variety of purposes. Again, our survey showed 50%, just under 50% were using it for employment or employment-related travel, and that 54, almost 55% of the passengers were receiving DHS assistance. And of those receiving DHS assistance, so roughly 38, over half of those were on worker-related trips. So it was achieving, what it was set out to do, I guess, was helping people get to jobs, but
Commissioner Riley?
Just a question, Jim. Did you say there was 30 people that need? Did I misunderstand, or is that the number you said out of all your riders?
We're guessing, based on the 26,000 rides, some people working 4 or 5 days a week, roughly 30 people are probably relying on that to get to regular employment during the week.
Yeah, I have a similar question. At 30 people, and I don't know how many days do you go 5 days a week?
Yes.
So you count that as 150 riders? Those 30 times 5 days, 150 per week, multiplied by a year?
Yeah.
Okay. Because the way I'm breaking this down,
It would be two a day, one round trip, so.
Right, I understand, 30 people per day, but then
30 people per day,
250
60
roughly
trips.
days annually, then you'll get the total ridership. So you take 250 multiplied by 150, you come up with your total ridership just for that particular ride, but it's only serving 30 people.
Well, 30 people for employment.
Right.
We're estimating. We don't really have a separate head count, other than just knowing a little over 26,000 rides.
Total cost of 260,000, you're going to be 130,000 short.
Yes.
Currently. Okay, because I was breaking that down, it comes up to about $4,300 per rider. Do you know what your total budget is?
Our total budget for Blue Water Area Transit is around $10 million.
Okay.
Steve had a question over there, Howard.
Thank you, Jeff. I assume you've communicated this issue directly with your senator and state representatives?
Well, I've talked to their office. I've got a meeting scheduled Monday with, they've all been invited. I'm not sure.
I mean, I've noticed the state interest in developing these transit systems regionally and in the Detroit metro area and so forth, Oakland County, Wayne County, light rail, all these, monies that would go to these new systems. And I think your point, one of the points that you made that I'm interested in is the idea that you would not make these other investments without sustaining needed services in areas like ours. So
Exactly.
I was curious if you get support from our representatives at a state level and or a federal level. So what attempts have you done to either communicate that, and if you have communicated, what are you getting back from them, interest or disinterest in assisting you?
I'm getting a great deal of interest. And I've just recently started outreach because I was trying to work through MDOT first and then Department of Human Services to see if, I couldn't find the money without, being here tonight. And again, I have a meeting scheduled Monday with all the legislators have been invited, as well as some legislators from some other areas and their transit system managers. all the small urban systems, well, many of them have experienced the loss of this funding. It's just been proportionately greater in our area because of the fact that we had been so successful in the first place in getting such a large amount of the funding. The regional route at the time that we proposed that was the #1 choice through a community collaboration process that we had to do and document with outreach. I think we sent out over 300 postcards, got roughly 40 people in a room here in this building to discuss what priorities they had for transportation in the community, and we came up with 3 projects. The first choice was that regional route, but we were all absolutely stunned, of course, when all 3 projects were selected. So we had hoped that one would. So, but the regional route was also part of the county's master plan, I believe, at the time. Really, I think the footprint for the route that we've done, both the shoreline and the express, are more or less in line with what the county had in a long-term transportation plan. So when we saw the opportunity to get some of our federal and state dollars back here to do something that I thought the county wanted in the long-range plan at the time, it just seemed like a good opportunity. And again, our assumption was once they started these kind of programs that are designed to help keep people off welfare, that they would continue the funding.
Howard, you had a question?
Well, just maybe a little axe to grind regarding this. Here, many years ago, we received funding federal funding, I believe, to hire police officers. And that went on for a few years, and then all at once they pulled the rug out from under us after we had hired the police officers and said, oh, you can keep paying them. And this seems like a similar situation in that, the federal money is there, we provide the service, the citizens appreciate the service, depend on the service, and now pull the rug out and say, locals, pick up the tab. And it's frustrating.
Okay. I just got one other question. We're going to wrap this up, unrelated. When are you guys going to start on your transit center over there, Jim?
Well, we just recently finished closing on the property, so we're moving ahead now with our hiring of a design team and construction manager, and in order to...
3 months, 6 months, not holding a gun to your head, a year?
We're hoping to start not this spring, but next spring, and finish next fall, that following fall.
Okay, very good. I appreciate you coming in tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on, item number C, resolution 14-6 authorizing the notice of intent for landfills.
This time, Mr. Chairman, I would ask that we adopt Resolution 14-06, authorizing notice of intent to issue the bonds for landfill projects.
Support. If we have any questions, we've got Matt here. Roll call.
Commissioner Tamian.
Yes.
Commissioner Samasco.
Yes.
Commissioner Graytop.
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing.
Yes.
Commissioner Heidemann.
Yes.
Commissioner Riley.
Yes.
Chairman Bohm.
Yes. Item D, the internet service provider of the library.
Mr. Chairman, at this time, I would move to approve the internet connection agreement between St. Clair County Library System and RISA in the amount of $159,600 for a term of 7/1/14 through 6/30/16.
Second?
Discussion. Got the folks from the library here. Any questions? Roll call.
Commissioner Riley.
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing.
Yes.
Commissioner Heidemann.
Yes.
Commissioner Graytop.
Yes.
Commissioner Samasco.
Yes.
Commissioner Tamian.
Yes.
Chairman Bohm.
Yes. Item number E, the community mental health board appointments.
Mr. Chairman, as your liaison to the Community Mental Health Board, I'd like to move to reappoint Gerald Keller, member at large, and Eliza Smafield, member at large, each for a 3-year term that would expire on March 31st, 2017, and to appoint Ed Reeves to the member-at-large position effective April 1st, 2014, for the remainder of a 3-year term that would expire on March 31st, 2016.
Support.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Item F, the library board appointments.
This time, do we need to state the nominations or just close them?
Sorry? How do you guys want to go about this? You want to do a ballot?
Let's do a ballot if we could.
Yeah.
Don't we have to, do we have to nominate and close or do any of that business? Or
I guess we could nominate them both to just do a nomination for both of them, and then we'll do a quick ballot deal. You can just.
I would move to nominate both applicants for the position on the library board.
Okay.
Just a comment, talk about two well-qualified people. Impressed.
Just rip out a piece of paper, guys, or something you
I
got.
think we need to
on
close
your
the
deal.
nominations before we vote, Jeff. It's like we vote on the nominations. All in favor, then
All in
vote.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then I'd move to close the nominations and vote.
Support. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Write your name down and pass them on down.
That's a little...
Usually Jay's a little more prepared than.
You sent an email to us on that, didn't you? You sent an email on that too, didn't you? Okay, I got our ballots.
Didn't spend a lot of money on those, did we, Jay?
No, not at all. We're on a tight budget. One for Arlene. 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 7-0.
Okay, Arlene Marcetti is the appointment for the library board. Item number G, moving on,
I would
resolution.
like to thank the other candidate, though, Jeff.
Yeah,
This was,
absolutely.
This was a tight vote, and I want to thank both candidates. I did reach out to them and ask them to send us a letter, and they both did, and they
Yeah.
both appeared here tonight.
I got that.
And I'd like to tell the other candidate, we will consider you for further appointments. You are a very quality individual, and we do appreciate your stepping forward and seeking the appointment.
I would like to second what Commissioner Semesko just said and encourage Tom to stay with us. And we have lots of positions and things like that. If you're looking to give back, we got your name and number now, buddy.
And we have,
We have some openings on a few boards.
we have a number of,
It won't just be the septic tank appeal board either. There's other positions. That's the one that... But thank you very much.
Thank you. Item G, resolution 1405, authorizing the library millage renewal.
This time, I'd like to adopt Resolution 14-05, placing the proposed renewal for the library system operating millage on the August 5th, 2014 ballot.
second?
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Resolution 1405, I'm sorry, item H, the South Hangar taxi reconstruction. Item H.
You want that one now?
Yep.
I would move the approval of the agreement with Mead and Hunt for the construction administration of the South Hangar area taxi lane reconstruction in the amount of $39,847.
Support?
Any discussion on that? We've got Kathy here. Roll call.
Commissioner Greatop.
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing.
Yes.
Commissioner Samasco.
Yes.
Commissioner Tamian.
Yes.
Commissioner Riley.
Yes.
Commissioner Heidemann.
Yes.
Chairman Bohm.
Yes. Item number I, the resolution 1404 with the airport rates and fees.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to adopt Resolution 14-04, establishing airport rates and fees.
Support.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed. Solid Waste Planning Committee appointment. EJ.
Mr. Chairman, at this time, I would move to appoint Martin, is that Ulini, to the Solid Waste Management Plan Committee representing the solid waste management industry for the remainder of a 2-year term expiring 12/31/14.
Support?
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed. Item K, the mail machine lease agreement.
This time I would move to adopt the mail machine lease agreement as proposed.
Support.
Is there a monetary number on that, Jay, or no?
$23,343.
Thank you.
Discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Heidemann.
Yes.
Commissioner Greatop.
Yes.
Commissioner Riley.
Yes.
Commissioner Samasco.
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing.
Yes.
Commissioner Tamian.
Yes.
Chairman Bohm.
Yes. Item number L, the pension board manning table revision.
This time I would move to approve the addition of a part-time HR clerk to the pension board manning table.
Support.
Discussion?
Can comment on that, Jeff, if you want.
Sure.
Just that Tammy Rumsey's been the person handling the HR piece of it and for the pension board, including the health care. And it was pretty evident from the workload there that there was a need for some assistance, and that's why that was suggested, and I strongly believe that that would be appropriate. Familiar with how hard Tammy works and the caseload she has. She works a lot of time on weekends. She does a lot of difficult things for the pension board. She responds to retirees and current employees with pension questions, healthcare questions, and it's quite stressful and it's a big job. So I'm glad to see that we can do that. I think there's a real need there for that.
Yeah, when we made some changes to the healthcare originally, we had talked to them about, you know, if you need some additional help to get through that period. They said, I think said no at the time, but 1,100 phone calls later and all that other stuff, it was like, you know, that thing is just such a huge deal that you need somebody, and I mean, it just, you know, big stuff, so, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Item M, the request to change the probate court manning table.
Mr. Chairman, I go to approve the request of 2 part-time compliance officers to the probate court manning table.
Support?
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Those opposed? Resolution 1408.
Mr. Chair, I would move the adoption of Resolution 1408, authorizing the submission of a grant application for the purchase of property along the St. Clair River.
Support.
Discussion? That's a roll call.
Commissioner Greatop.
Yes.
Commissioner Tamian.
Yes.
Commissioner Riley.
Yes.
Commissioner Samasco.
Yes.
Commissioner Heidemann.
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing.
Yes.
Chairman Bohm.
Yes. Item number O, the resolution 1409.
Mr. Chairman, at this time, I would move to adopt Resolution 1409, authorizing the submission of a grant application for the purchase of property on Bouvier Bay in Clay Township.
Second. Oh, go ahead.
Discussion?
Mr. Samasco.
Roll call.
Commissioner Rushing.
Yes.
Commissioner Tamian.
Yes.
Commissioner Samasco.
Yes.
Commissioner Greatop.
Yes.
Commissioner Riley.
Yes.
Commissioner Heidemann.
Yes.
Chairman Bohm.
Yes. Item number P, the resolution supporting the DNR acquisition grant for Grant Township.
This time I'd like to move to adopt Resolution 14-11, supporting the Michigan Department of Natural Resources property acquisition.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Riley.
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing.
Yes.
Commissioner Greatop.
Yes.
Commissioner Samasco.
Yes.
Commissioner Tamian.
Yes.
Commissioner Heidemann.
Yes.
Chairman Bohm.
Yes. Item 12, Administrator's Report.
Let me begin by talking a little bit about the 2015 budget. Soon we'll be closing the books on 2013. We'll have a good idea of how we started this year, if we were able to carry any funds over. Within the next 60 to 90 days, we expect to know what the state's budget will be looking like. As you know, we're particularly concerned about revenue sharing, as well as what's going to happen with personal property taxes. So hopefully, if the state legislators' schedule follows as it has the last couple of years, we should know sometime in May whether or not those two issues have been resolved, and then we can move forward with developing our budget here. The county did receive notice from the Government Finance Officers Association that we received an award for a complete, clear, and concise, comprehensive annual financial report for 2012, this particular document. If you haven't seen it and you're new to the board, I would suggest you spend a little bit of time taking a look at it. It does a real good job of explaining what all the different funds are that the county works with, how those funds are used, and it goes over a little bit about how some of the recent projects that have come out of certain funds. The award is given to communities that are able to produce very clear, concise reports that can be shared with the public, things that are easy for everyone to understand, even if they do not have a financing background. So certainly we want to recognize Ms. Hepting and her staff for putting this report together for 2012 and receiving this award. So, thank you, Carrie.
Very nice, Gary.
Very nice.
Gary.
Earlier this month, I met with Conoke Township Board of Trustees. They had asked me to come out and speak with them about the county's budget, trends in road funding, recent activities around the landfill, as well as disposal fees, which we've been talking about, and the convention center. We ended the evening with a question and answer period. Spoke along with questions and answers for probably about an hour. Spent a considerable amount of time talking about the Avoca Waste Treatment Plant facility as well, which seems to come up probably about twice a year. It begins to be talked about again. We'll be working with some folks from the Road Commission, from the DPW, to meet with some officials from Conoke Township to learn a little bit more about that facility. If any of you are interested in attending that meeting and learning about what's going on, please just let me know, and I'll share with you when that is scheduled. And the last thing I want to spend a little bit of time on is the convention center, and we actually have quite a bit of information to share. You may recall that we went out for rebidding about 13 different trades last month in February. Those were elements of the project that we either didn't receive any any bids on, or only received one bid on. I did not feel comfortable approaching the board with awarding contracts for any of those. Obviously, if we didn't receive a bid, I've got no one to award a contract to, and I didn't just want to select someone off the street and say, here you go. Also, those that we received only one bid for certainly wasn't competitive, so let's try and rebid it and see what we could do. It took a little bit of time, but we did go out for rebid. We did have quite a few responses to the rebid, and in fact saved a considerable amount of money for those trades that we did have bids on. So in my mind, I think it was a good move to delay, just wait a little bit longer, cast a little wider net. We did send out the second rebid notice much further than we did before, tried to lure in contractors from as far away as Detroit and Lansing, and we did receive some very competitive bids, and like I said, it ended up resulting in some significant savings.
Question, Bill.
Yes,
Were these contracts, any of them or all of them, contracts that had the minimum local content requirement?
All of our contracts have those requirements. So some of those bids that came in, what they would do is they would bid them with, let's say, local labor or local content, meaning local supplies, and they may also give us a proposal without local supplies. What we're finding is some of our contractors on a job this big, for instance, plumbing supplies. We don't have any large plumbing supply houses in St. Clair County. there are large plumbing supply houses in the Metro Detroit area. So they could give us a price to do the work using our local sources for plumbing supplies, which really boils down to maybe going up to Home Depot or Lowe's or someplace like that. And the cost of that contract will go up versus buying it down at a supply house down in, let's say, Wayne County or Macomb County. They have a good relationship with them, the contractor, and as a result, they can receive some reduced pricing on the supplies, and we would realize a savings on the contract. So those are things that we'll be bringing to you as we come with all of the contracts. We'll share that kind of detail with you.
When we didn't get bids on the first go-around, I'd inquired to some people in the business, and two things they suggested. One was that something you had mentioned, that a lot of the contractors, because of the economy, the labor source had left the area, and that they had enough work to, they had enough work to handle with the people they had, and they couldn't get more. But the other thing that was mentioned to me was that people are hesitant to bid on these local content projects because of the record keeping and oversight. It's a drag on production. So is there anything, any truth to that, or not really?
Well, you know, when you bid a project and you use federal dollars and you have to document where the workers come from and what they're being paid, the paperwork associated with that is very burdensome. I've actually been involved in documenting some of those on projects before, and it does take a great deal of time. You've got to stop work, you've got to bring all the workers in, you've got to interview them, you've got to look at their paperwork, and it does create delays.
Does that cause the cost to go up somewhat or not?
I would think it would, because obviously it takes them longer to do the work. Now, what we've done traditionally on these jobs in the past, where we have required local labor content, is we have them submit at the beginning of the job information about everyone's place of address. Usually it's just photocopy your driver's license, and we've got that on file. And then we go out to the site periodically and just walk around and check the employees to see and make sure that they match the master list. So we try, in the past when we've done this, we've tried to keep that paperwork down to a bare minimum. And it certainly is nowhere near as burdensome as when you use federal dollars.
Yeah. Thanks.
To the point, are you ready? Because I talked to Bill a little bit about this today, and I think they are ready to award a whole series of bids, and he was talking about possibly having a special meeting next week. A couple guys are going to be gone April. I'm going to be 2 or 3 commissioners down in April, so we probably would want to get this done pre you guys leaving.
Yes, we do. We expect over the next week to be ready to bring to the board probably about a dozen contracts that we want to start moving forward with. We do still have some work to do. Many of these trades, we're still reviewing their value engineering, their ideas on ways they could do the project slightly different, and it might actually end up saving some money on the project. So we're going through that. We're working with the architect and corporation counsel to finalize all the contracts, all the bonding requirements if they're necessary, those type of activities. So although we'd really like to have this information to you by the end of next week, I'm not sure that we're going to be able to do that. So what we will do is I'll have a better idea tomorrow where we stand with all of these contracts. What we'll do is get in touch with you, start scheduling, work on scheduling this special board meeting, and then obviously we'll post it as a public meeting. We'll certainly let the media know when those are going to be held.
So possibly next Thursday, Friday kind of stuff.
That's what we would like to shoot for, yes.
Do we want to pick a date now, a date and time that would work for everybody? And we may have it or we may not.
Why don't you let Bill figure out what date he wants, and then just email us or call, and we'll do it.
Yeah, you guys
Because
have to
if you don't have it done, you said by the end of next week, if you don't have them done by Friday, we can't have a meeting anyways, so why schedule one prior to him getting?
I don't
I'm
want to
open
block off time.
Any time except Wednesday night.
Okay. Yeah.
So we'll be in touch.
Yeah. No, and like I said, I know a couple guys are traveling here in April that we're going to be quite a couple guys, so I'd like to have everybody while we're here collectively, look at this and go forward, so, okay, fair enough.
Last week, I had several meetings with our venue management company, SMG, to discuss what the next steps will be. Currently, they're assisting us with the final review of all of our plans. They are also reviewing the value engineering just to make sure that it doesn't impact them operationally. And I am working with with Bruce Brown on scheduling an opportunity to sit down and begin the process of hiring a joint general manager. So that will likely occur in the next couple of weeks, that meeting as well. Let's see.
SMG's authority, that's not our decision, was it the general manager?
Well, it will be an employee of SMG. They obviously would like the city and the county to agree on who that individual will be, yes. So,
And if, to the point, Steve, if he's not working out and you feel he's not working out, they
Yeah, well, I think
bring
that's,
somebody else in.
that's a good gesture. I think it's good they do that. So,
Sure.
I just, from the contract, it was their authority to hire and fire that individual, as far as I can tell, so,
yes.
okay.
Now with most all of the bids in, we've sat down, we've totaled all the numbers, and I can tell you we are still on budget for this project. We hope to be breaking ground as soon as the 6 feet of frost is out of the ground. Actually, we heard, yeah, we heard from the construction manager yesterday. DTE was up there drilling some holes for some new power poles, and it's still 6 feet deep, the frost. So it's going to be a while. So tomorrow is the State of the County address at Alexander's at 11:30, and we hope to see most of you there.
Does it start at 11:30? Or is it, do you know?
I had 11:15 on my calendar.
Yeah.
11:15? I believe they might begin serving at 11:30.
I had 11 on mine too. Maybe I did it to be early.
But I think it's 11:30, so just be a little bit early.
I do have 11 to 1:15.
That's what I got.
Is it too late to be put on the
I have a motion for the administrator's report.
So moved. Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm going to throw this out here because I see a couple people had came in a little bit late. Was anybody here to talk on the choice energy? Okay, we already passed you up on the agenda, but since I'm a nice guy, I'll let you go up there and give your schmeal.
You're not asking us to vote on whether you're a nice guy or not.
Yeah, if you could fill one of those cards out for us that has your... Yeah, well, there's a card right over there. Just fill that out and get it to us at the end of the presentation, your name and address and all that stuff. I had, after our meeting, okay, perfect. After our meeting last week with DTE, I received some phone calls on some people, and I said, well, you know what, come on in, we'll ask some questions regarding the choice. It's James Williams, 2103 Catherine Street, Port Huron, Michigan, 48060. Okay, you want to go right up there and we'll, I guess, some questions. Okay.
Okay, I'm Jim Williams from Port Huron, and I sell natural gas and electricity for the Choice program. We're trying to get reopened in here in Michigan. We sell in like 7 different states.
You talk in the microphone a little bit, really
Sorry
hard to
about
hear.
that. Anyway, we sell gas and natural gas and electricity from different companies that we use, and we have we're averaging. We have a lot of people in the queue for the get lined up where they. As soon as it opens up, we can get them in, and there's one company I can save $250,000 a month.
Explain to us, because truthfully,
Okay.
I'm not looking for the.
I didn't know if anybody else already-
Sales pitch, but what is the whole, the choice piece of it? What is the 10%, and just kind of some background?
Right now,
I guess.
it's 10% cap. Mrs. Granholm put a cap on it before she left, and DTE and consumers have 90% of the monopoly. And we're trying to get it reopened so everybody, that can, factories and whatever can get in, residential to start saving money. They can save between 1 and 35% on their business for electric. So that's what we're trying to get open in Michigan right now. And if you had bills, I can figure it out for you to tell you exactly how much you would save on your bill when it as soon as it opens up.
Like I said, I'm not looking for the sales pitch per
Okay.
se as much
No
as
problem.
just the informational piece. I guess if some of the commissioners have
I left all the paperwork with you.
yeah, I've got that. I'm gonna get copies of that and
Okay.
get that, distribute that.
I was trying to make it quick for you because you guys
Yeah, no,
are-
we got time here.
Okay, well, I didn't know if you wanted to get home, watching TV or something. So anyway, but we're just trying to get, so it's equal for everybody. There's people that are in the choice right now that are only paying like 5 cents, where a lot of people are paying 8 cents. So we're trying to open it up so that the way there's everybody can win instead of there's winners and losers right now. Losers that the guy in that crossroad can't get in to the program because it's got a cap on it. And if they can lift the cap off, we can get everybody into it and start saving money and put people back to work. Because, like I said, there's one factory that can put everybody back to work as soon as it gets the cap lifted. And then that's only one, so you figure times that by all the factories in Michigan, we could put a lot of people back to work and bring people back to Michigan. And that's what we're trying to do right now. I was just at a meeting in Lansing on Tuesday, and I got to go back on next Tuesday in front of Mike Snyder and the rest of them over there, or not Mike Snyder, but Mike Shirkey. He's trying to lift the cap and get things rocking for Michigan.
Did they not just have a hearing recently on
Tuesday.
This past Tuesday?
Yeah, I'm going again next Tuesday too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does any commissioner have, I guess, specific questions? Carl, you've got a little bit of experience running a previous utility there and wherever, is it?
I think I understand the program.
Yeah. So I mean, like I said, we're just trying to get it so everybody can get back to work and make Michigan a lot better place to be.
So you're talking residential and?
Yeah, when it opens up the next time, it will be for residential too.
Right
The
now
first time
it's-
was business only.
You talking across the whole state?
The whole state of
You mentioned
Michigan.
Consumers. and-
Consumers, NDT, both will be open up for us.
Okay, they're on more the west side and the southern
Right.
part.
Right.
What about this side?
This side will be open too.
Be open too, huh?
Yeah, for DT. Right now, I just signed up a party store that's been in it since '09, and they're at .055 right now. And everybody else is at 8 cents to 12 cents, depends what area they're in.
Okay.
So I've been doing it for 8 years, so it's a good opportunity for everybody to save money.
Any other questions at all, I guess?
And like I say, once they get in the program, they don't want to go back. So.
Okay. I'm sure that battle will be fought out at a lot higher pay grade than us here, and I'd
Well, I
imagine.
just try and get people in the queue, so if it does open up, if they only open up for another 15%, then the ones that are in the queue will get in automatically, but anybody out of the queue won't get in.
When, any anticipation as far as time frame on this?
Well, we're hoping before Snyder if he gets back in, we're hoping that they do it before the election, but the way it looks, it might be after the election sometime. It might be another year, 6 months to a year.
Okay. All right. No questions from commissioners?
Okay, thanks a lot.
Yes, I
Appreciate it.
Yes, I appreciate coming in. And I will get copies of this information distributed to all the other commissioners here.
Thank you.
Receive and file.
So moved.
Receive and file.
Support.
All in favor?
Bye.
Adjournment.
Motion.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
We hope you enjoyed this week's St. Clair County Board of Commissioners meeting. Your St. Clair County Commissioners broadcast these meetings on Comcast Local Access Channel 12 every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. If you have any questions on any part of this program, please feel free to contact your St. Clair County Board of Commissioners or staff. You can find their contact information, the meeting agenda, and videos of the meetings at www.stclaircounty.org.